Hey everyone, welcome to the YoshiCast. I'm Yoshi, and today is Tuesday, July 10th, 2018, and this is episode 8 of Bag and Board.
Yoshi!
Hey, thanks for joining me everyone as we go over the comics I picked up this week. As you may or may not be able to tell, I am battling a sore throat, so bear with me as my voice sounds funny, at least to me, and we're going to try and get through this. I'm really excited about some of the books I got. So before I dive into my comics this week, I just want to mention, as most of you probably know, we lost the comic book artist, the legend, the co-creator of Spider-Man, Steve Ditko. Steve Ditko was 90 years old. He and Stan Lee brought Spider-Man to life. He was involved in the countless creation of many other superheroes in the Marvel Universe. And I'm going to include some links to some documentaries I'd watched recently about Steve Ditko. Feel free to check them out. They're very entertaining. I learned a lot. I enjoyed them. And we're just going to move on to what I picked up this week. So the first book I have to show off this week is an eBay purchase. This one came from a seller who was selling Transformers Regeneration 1 issue 81, the blank variant, with Omega Supreme drawn by Don Figueroa. That's what the description said. My contact with the eBay seller, he stuck by that comment. He wouldn't budge on it. He was very certain this was Don Figueroa's art. I was left questioning that. I wasn't 100% sure about that. I went ahead and bid on the auction. I won it. And got the book, and the book's in beautiful shape. It's beautiful art. It's Omega Supreme. What's not to like? It's very basic, and I'm going to explain that, or at least why I think that's very basic here in just a minute. A few years ago, I picked up a copy of this book where the artwork on it was verified to have been drawn by Dan Hanna. And as you can see, the art styles are very similar. And if we get in really, really close here, you can see that the signatures are in the same place. It's Dan Hanna. This is not Don Figueroa. And no matter how much this eBay seller stuck to it, I knew something was wrong about it. And it wasn't until I got it in my hands that I realized it's not Don Figueroa. It's Dan Hanna. Both, and you can tell by the art styles. You can tell by the signature. And I'm very happy to have it. Don't get me wrong. It was interesting though. This book. I'm going to put them both down here on the screen. This book. The rumor, the legend, my understanding behind this book is that there was only 100 with this blank cover made. And all 100 were given to Dan Hanna to draw on, to give away, to sell, to use as convention purchases. And that was it. And when this eBay seller came on, I kind of freaked out inside a little bit because he was claiming that Don Figueroa had drawn on these. And all I could think of is, where the hell did he get the books? Were there more than 100 made? You know, and this story I've heard, that there was only 100 of these books made, I've only heard told to me by one person. I've never been able to confirm it. And I've sent emails, I've sent inquiries, and getting this book in and visually inspecting it and realizing the same artist worked on it, I have resent the same requests for information out there into the ether, and hopefully I'll hear back. But to find out if there was only 100 of these books. And if that's the case, that there's only 100, it's kind of cool to have 2 of 100 books that exist. The artwork on here is very, very basic, as you can see. And a lot of that has to do with this first blank cover. This cover paper is shit. It's absolute shit. It's a nightmare for artists to have to draw on. They don't like drawing on this stuff. Lots of sketch covers. Most sketch covers these days, the paper quality on the cover is so much better, and artists have no problems drawing on them. But these earlier ones, they're just crap. And I don't blame artists for hating working on them, and I don't blame Mr. Hanna for keeping these drawings of these Transformers basic. I totally get that. I totally understand. But this is very cool. It's now in my collection. Let's go ahead and bag and board this guy. So just to share with you, the first thing I noticed is a reason why these first blank covers were so terrible is this is glossy. This is glossy paper, and they had to draw on it. And it's also slightly see-through. I can't see just the little bit of this coming through on it. It's just a horrible cover to draw on. And I understand why artists hate drawing on these first versions of these blank covers. I'm a huge Transformers nut, so I had to have this in my collection. It's a part of the Transformers history. It's a continuation of the original G1 story. And it's cool to actually own one of these rare books and have it in this collection I've got. So look at this. This is also something I see that is confirming for me what's going on here. The inside of this book is showing you every cover option: cover A, cover B, retailer incentive cover, retailer incentive cover B. So this is A and this is B. B literally says hand-drawn sketch cover by Dan Hanna. I don't think there were any more made, honestly. I don't know if I need any more evidence other than what is on the inside of this cover, telling me what other covers are available. I think that is the only book. I think they made 100. I think they gave them to Dan Hanna, and this is what we've got. And there we have it. Transformers Regeneration 181, continuing the 1980s Marvel run of Transformers G1. Blank cover variant, drawn on and signed by Mr. Dan Hanna. Next up, I have a 3-issue story arc of The Amazing Spider-Man, starting with Amazing Spider-Man number 284, Gang War, Part 1. It's a really cool cover. It's a really cool cover. It's a little beaten. It's a little worse for wear, but I still wanted it, and you'll find out soon why when we get to the next issue here. But let's go ahead and bag and board this guy up. Yeah, this book has seen better days. We've got some spine curl here. We've got several tick marks along the side. The bottom of the book, I don't know how well you can see this. The bottom of the book is chipped. This corner is not looking too hot. The upper part's a lot better. Again, you'll see in the next issue why I picked this up and why I want to read it. I'd say the colors are off-white as far as the page whiteness goes. And here we have it, Amazing Spider-Man issue 284. The battle to become the new kingpin of crime begins. Gang War Part 1. Even with the issues at the bottom of this book and the tick marks on the side, it still just pops in this Mylar. Mylar is amazing. Next up is Amazing Spider-Man issue 285, Gang War Part 2. The Punisher gets involved. I'm going to assume that Spider-Man lost control in the first issue, and the Punisher is here to regulate a little bit. It's kind of boss, honestly. Let's go ahead and bag and board this guy up. And here is the Amazing Spider-Man issue 285, Gang War Part 2, featuring the Punisher. It looks so much better in these My Light bags. And condition-wise, this book is not doing any better than the first one. The spine is curled, the bottom is chewed up. Might even argue that the book itself, especially the back, is dirtier than the first one. Pages are off-white. But again, I got these to read them. I'm really sucked into the world of the Punisher right now, and I'm looking forward to reading all of these. Up next is Part 3 of Gang War, Thy Father's Son. This is Amazing Spider-Man issue 286. Blue cover this time instead of red. Let's go ahead and bag and board this guy up. And bag and boarded, we have Amazing Spider-Man 286, Gang War Part 3, Thy Father's Son. This book was in the best condition of the three. There was no spine roll. The bottom isn't all chipped or chewed up. Pages were still off-white. It was a little dirty. But again, got him to read, got him to enjoy the Punisher arc. And I'll certainly be doing that. So next up, I want to give another reading recommendation. Last week when I recommended Ice Cream Man, I received a lot of feedback on that. Mostly text messages and private instant messages to me about it, not so much comments in the YouTubes. But a lot of interest in what I thought about what I was reading and what I would recommend. To go on the same vein of Ice Cream Man, I have something very similar. This is Grimm Tales of Terror. This is the hardbound trade book, Volume 1. And you can tell by the art, this is going to be some creepy stuff. Got my hands on this through my neighbor, actually. I was telling my neighbor about Ice Cream Man, and make a long story short, he handed me his copy of Grimm Tales of Terror Volume 1 to read, and I'm enjoying the hell out of this book. I'll be honest with you, it took 3 or 4 stories for me to feel as pumped about this book as I did with Ice Cream Man, but it's definitely in the same vein as Ice Cream Man, or the same voice as Ice Cream Man. They're individual scary stories. You can pick up any issue of Grimm Tales of Terror in the comic book store now. I think they're on volume 3 is what they're printing in comic book form. You can pick up any one and dive right in. You don't have to have read the first story to understand what the 12th story is about. These are individual scary stories. They're very good. Like I said, it took me about 3 or 4 issues, 3 or 4 stories in here, 3 or 4 issues to get into it. I felt like the writer at that point really found his groove, his mark, and it's really good. There's some stories in here I could definitely use in D&D campaigns, not all of them. But there is some inspiration in there if you're into that kind of thing. I am shocked. I am so shocked I'm enjoying this genre of storytelling. I never thought I would. I was never a fan of Tales from the Crypt growing up.
Tales from the Crypt.
I used to watch it because that's what was on. I didn't watch it because I loved the stories. I liked the X-Files. I liked Black Mirror. I like Twilight Zone. Wasn't such a fan of Tales from the Crypt, which, looking at this, I think that's what most people think of. I feel like these stories are better than Tales from the Crypt stories, quite honestly. I'm really enjoying this. I highly recommend you grab it if you can. You don't have to spend money on the hardback. I'm certain that there are softback versions of this book. Get a chance, check it out. I'd love to know what you think about this. What did you think of Ice Cream Man? What did you think of Grimm Tales of Terror? Leave a comment down below. Let's talk about this, because this is new for me. Like, I'm totally digging this, and it's scaring me that I got into this so quickly and that I'm enjoying these kinds of stories. So I'd love to talk about it with anybody down below in the comment section that wants to talk about it with me. So yeah, that's all I've got for this week. Thanks for bearing with me as my voice is a complete mess, and I really appreciate it, and we'll see you guys in the next one.